Hello. Welcome. Humans, subhumans, demi-humans, meta-humans, transhumans. How's everybody doing? I mean, you can answer me, but it'll be 7 seconds or so in the future. Welcome. So, you have entered the dark realm of part 3 of me trying to tangle with Fallout 2. I'm going to be playing for about an hour, hour and a half. Keep it nice and short, because that's about as much Fallout 2 as I can tolerate in one go. Meaning, this series will span until either I rage quit Fallout 2 or until I beat it, which might be 70 or 80 sessions from now. If you are not familiar with the thing that I do here, the thing that I'm doing, I'm playing through Fallout, but really I'm using Fallout and the stuff that happens in Fallout as like prompts to talk about role-playing games in general, tabletop in particular, and some of the ways that tabletop and computer RPGs are different, in some ways they're similar, and the crossover between the two. So, welcome, and I hope that that sounds exciting and fun to you. And let's get to it. So it's super weird. I have to start Fallout from the title screen for y'all, because if I start it earlier, then we get the music playing at the beginning, and there's no way I could get that on YouTube. So yeah, so I've been doing that. So last session I tried to find Tor so that I could go and help him protect his Brahmin, but I think he's gone missing. So I'm going to ask around for him. I'm also still trying to find Vic, the traitor. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on in this universe. So the game is not doing a great job teaching me what's kind of happening. So I'm trying to figure that out. So I'm going to go over here and talk to this lady. And I want to see if she knows where Vic is. So I'm going to ask around. So, talking about Garden of Eden, Creation Kit, which is my mission, of course. I'm the chosen one, having proved myself in the thing of trials, the trial thing. So I'm going to be persnickety with this lady because she was mean, and she had my new friend as a slave, which, not cool, lady. So I've been super abusive to this lady. Every time we've had a conversation, I've been like, you're a bigot, I hate your guts, but she just treats me like it's totally fine. So that's kind of neat. What else do you know? A couple of towns. Oh, here's something new. Never heard of Reading, never heard of the Den. Maybe she can add them to my map. Why wouldn't you go to the Den? It's a bad place to go. They even enslave ignorant tribals like yourself. Okay, so the Den is a bad place to go because they enslave tribals, just like you did, like not 5 minutes ago. Ah, see, isn't he your slave? Here we go. She's going to say the 2 words that every slave owner likes to use. Indentured servant. Here it comes. I was paying off a debt. We don't have slaves. None of this matters to me. I've already freed him. The game doesn't realize that for some reason. Yeah, enough jaw flapping. She doesn't know anything. Alright, see you later. Is there anybody else in this room that can help me? Children, relaxing person, sturdy older woman. Oh, this is the lady that was looking for Smiley. Well, nobody in here can help me. Let's take off. Maybe the bathhouse has some people that know things. Alrighty, so if I talk to her directly, she's going to ask me to go and talk to... she's going to ask me to pay to talk to these ladies, so I'm just going to go in and talk to them. No, Jenny, I'm not looking for a good scrub down. Nor a rub, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So clever. Let's get out my little notebook. Where were you on the evening of 2246, January 1st? I'm looking for traders. Where's Vic? Mostly worked for one trader. Vic was his name. Alright, tell me more about this guy. Oh, I think I found a lead, everybody. CSI Klamath. Where's the Den? Yep. Okay. Hive of scum and villainy. Great. Let me ask something else. Tell me about the trappers. Okay. Alright, so did she add... Do we have the den on the map? Let's take a look. Can I look at my world map? No, evidently not. I'll talk to her again real quick. Let's see. Let me them deal in old time. Tell me more about Vic. Where's Vic now? Yeah, so she doesn't know, but it sounds like she's at the den, so... Or he's at the den. I'm gonna need to go and find that. Okay, well let's look around town some more. I'm gonna go back to that bar and talk to that dude who I was talking to before, the drunk guy. Maybe he's gonna teach me how to fight. This guy. Pointers, magic spells. Sure, let's teach me. Let's get a drink. Oh, such a tedious conversation. Like, great, okay, he's an Irish dude who likes to drink. Thank you so much. Yeah, I could use some help with that. Several sweaty hours later. Do I see what I was doing wrong? Yeah, let's give him some money. Oh, no. He doesn't want money. Thanks, dude. There we go. Improved my melee and unarmed combat. Got 150 experience. What a weird, pointless side quest. Like, it's not even a quest. It's just, like, endure this conversation. Which, to me, is really bad game design. Like, yeah, okay, cool. If you want free stuff... yeah, go ahead and just tolerate this. Like, just sit through this conversation with this guy. Which I did, and I got my reward, so that's nice. I learned how to fight from that guy. I talked to Jenny. Let's go see what's going on over in the, I guess the west side of... Oh yeah, this is where that robot is. No, I'm not ready to fight the robot. Oh, I'm gonna save. So one thing I've been thinking about between sessions of this is post-apocalypse as a concept, right? And kind of what it's about, you know? Like, in this game, it's... I haven't been to Trapper Town yet. Okay. So in this game, post-apocalypse is very much like a concept of, like, a bad thing happened, and the world froze in place. It's a lot, actually, a lot like Shadowrun in the way that it handles retrofuturism, in that time stopped in the 1950s, and so the whole 50s aesthetic gets carried forward into 2241, right? So the aesthetic of the modern era froze completely, right? Like, it's stuck here. So now people have these clothes, ostensibly you can't really tell because, like, the sprites aren't great, or the models aren't great, but like the ads that you see, look at the cars. Like, there's a prime example. Like, look at how 50s-esque these cars look. And so even the robots and the future shit, like the ray guns and the robots and the hover vehicles and stuff, they all look very 1950s. So in a lot of ways, it's an example of taking a piece of time and slicing it and saying, okay, we're going to branch off from here and imagine that everything broke or everything changed. Just in the same way that Shadowrun says, okay, it's you know, and we're doing this with Mirror Shades. Like, Shadowrun has progressed and kind of dragged the aesthetic forward. Like, if you play 5th edition, it's the cyberpunk of the year 2014, which honestly isn't really very cyberpunk. But what's cool is that in the 80s one, if you're playing that, like 1st edition, it's why we chose 1st edition for Mirror Shades, it feels very 80s. There's no wireless tech. It's a frozen slice of time dragged forward. And you're interpolating what technology might exist in certain circumstances, which is kind of cool, right? So it's something I've been thinking about. Can I talk to any of these guys? Rat worshippers. Alright, so these guys are dicks because I'm a tribal. Let's go see if this guy's nicer. Nope. Oh, good. I'm the most civilized tribal you've ever met. I wonder if this is going to stop. Like, at some point in the game, are people going to stop treating me like shit just because I'm a tribal? Whatever that means to them. I hope so. I hope that I get some respect. And if I don't, I hope I get a big gun. Those two things. Whichever. So these guys are telling me to leave. Let's see if we can find a named NPC, someone who can help me. Let's see here. More mumbling about tribals, talking about rats. Alright, let's go talk to this guy. How do I get into that room? So, yeah, I'm learning some things, that everybody is a jerk because I'm a tribal. I don't know how to like free myself of that stigma. And it's leading me to want to be violent towards these people. So that's interesting. Here we go. Here's an NPC that I can actually talk to. Slim Pickett. Talks for Trapper Town. So Trapper Town is the area I'm in. Why do you call it Trapper Town? Well, I wonder. Trapping geckos, free digs of rats, barricaded the rats pretty good. Rats, huh? Barricaded on the north side of town, they're sneaking through anyway. There's one door on the north side right here, but I have it locked. People have been disappearing. Let's volunteer to kill the giant rat. Yeah, I would like to help with your rat problem. Thanks for the key, Slim. Alright, so I got a key to go kill some rats. Let's see if we can't find our way out to that rat-infested zone. So he said there was one entrance right here somewhere, so kind of thought it would be that door. Maybe it's that one. Yeah, let's go figure that out. Appears to be locked. I guess this is the one I have a key to? Let's find out. I sure do. I guess I could have just picked it. Would have been worth more experience. Yeah, so post-apocalypse, I was thinking about too, like the ways that post-apocalypse is generally, like this is the archetype, right? Like I'm not sure where it came from necessarily. I'm guessing like the aesthetic is primarily from like Mad Max or, you know, that kind of like desert wasteland. Hey, it's a rat. You know, that's the thing people think of, the blasted nuclear wasteland, a product of the Cold War, kind of like fear that everything is gone to shit because of a war with somebody, nuclear powers. In this, I think it's China. It's great. I can't hit a rat with a knife. But there's a lot of different ways that you can get at a post-apocalypse, because really all it requires is that there be some kind of event that overthrows the existing order and doesn't replace it with a new one. You know, and it can be a fairly like cataclysmic apocalypse, like in this case, it can be a environmental apocalypse, you know, where the world has been changed by a flood or something like that. But it can also be a societal apocalypse, right, where the old order is died off, or the ruling class has vanished for whatever reason. You see, like biblical apocalypses in like the rapture happens, and all the good people go up to heaven, and so all you have left is the shitty people on earth. But what I think is really interesting is that a lot of different settings, not just of video games, but of like role-playing games and outside the post-apocalypse genre as a thing, because I think they're two different things, setting and genre. So, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, like Forgotten Realms, for example, has an element of post-apocalypse to it. There's the former Netherese empire of wizards that used to run the joint. And when they were destroyed or fell to their own hubris, as wizardly empires often do, we were left with the Forgotten Realms. So it's, you know, it's post-apocalypse in its own sense. There's an apocalypse in the setting of Exalted, too. If you look at, you know, they've had several deity wars over time, with the order being overturned each time and someone new attempting to take control, but there being this like grand scale wrecking of everything. You know, and I think that you know, you look at, like, I think I mentioned this last time, Stars Without Number is a post-apocalypse too, because everyone's cut off from Earth. So sci-fi apocalypse, I mean, hell, The Matrix is post-apocalyptic, right? I mean, it's a man-made sort of suicide apocalypse, but it's an apocalypse nonetheless. It fits all of the tropes. So it doesn't have to be, you know, all dust and shit and scarcity. It can be, a technological apocalypse, but doesn't necessarily have to fit the mold. One game that I would say is like, where the hell is Sulik, by the way? Come help me, you jackass. One game that I think would qualify as a post-apocalypse on a very personal scale is a game like Wraith, which, if you're not familiar with it, Wraith is one of White Wolf's games. It's it's a bit of a niche game. Basically, you play a character who has died. You're part of a post-life civilization in which you are a ghost, and you get some abilities you didn't have as a human, but you also might be enslaved and like made into an ashtray as your fate. But it's a post-apocalypse on a very personal level because you're dead. It's your apocalypse. The life and structure that you knew is gone, and so it's like dealing with that apocalypse and having each character within it dealing with their own sort of apocalyptic condition, which I think is super cool. I mean, really, all it requires is some dramatic upheaval on a grand scale. And I don't know, maybe you guys can think of, maybe chat, you can think of some other examples of, abnormal apocalypses, sci-fi apocalypse, fantasy apocalypse. I think there's lots of times in which, there's a dead civilization that the characters are a part of, and I think it's differentiated from the Dying Earth genre, named, of course, after the work of Jack Vance, which, if you've not read it, if you're a fantasy fan even a little bit and you've never read anything by Jack Vance, you're doing yourself a massive disservice, because his stuff is so weird and so strange that you really have to read it. The Kugel saga especially, it's like one of my favorite fantasy stories ever. You want to see a chaotic, neutral / evil character doing like some pretty entertaining stuff, that's the place to look. But anyway, Dying Earth as a genre is this whole other thing, where, like, Numenera is a Dying Earth genre game. Games in which it's more about the slow demise of civilization and reality of human culture over a long time, rather than like a nuke goes off and everything bad happens. It's just about like things slowly changing and losing context over time. So yeah, Dying Earth genre, all of that stuff. Yeah, it's all very cool, and there's a lot of like post-apocalypse fiction. What I think is really interesting, and this is true of sci-fi in general, but the post-apocalypse genre I find particularly interesting because it says something about the fears of the time, right? Like, I mean, you look at Mad Max, and it's about what, like water shortage, gas shortage? No, there's gas and bullets, but there's no water, right? Like, the scarcities define post-apocalypse. Like, what do we have a lot of, and what do we have nothing of? The game, obviously, the like best, really the best like example of scarcity as a character driver is Apocalypse World, right? Like, that game is all about scarcity. It's a main factor in the game. But I think that all successful post-apocalypse games have some degree of scarcity built into them, where it's like, what is missing? What is the thing that we had in the time before that now as a civilization we don't have anymore? And I think finding that thing or replacing it, and sometimes it's something obvious like gas or food or friendship, like camaraderie, other humans to look out for us. And sometimes it's more subtle, like we're missing dignity, or the scarcity is for our humanity, right? And I think that you see the most successful stuff in post-apocalypse for me is the stuff that embraces that scarcity in a way that makes it feel real, that isn't just like you can imagine what it would be like. Because I mean, how many of you and your friends have like a like zombie survival plan, right? Like, how many times have you sat around having a couple of beers being like, all right, well, if zombie plague broke out, I would go to this place and I would get this person and we would drive here and we'd go to this place, and like you start assessing everyone for skills, and it's because the genre is relatable, right? Like, it's about finding ways to make the audience feel imperiled and put themselves in the position of the characters. So let's tie it back to Fallout. Like, this game in particular, I'm having a hard time embracing the apocalypse because I don't... Embracing the apocalypse, that sounds terrifying. I'm having a hard time embracing the apocalypse because it's not relatable to me. I'm not a tribal. I'm not like out of touch with the the universe at large. I would have more context for these things than my character does. So it's a little bit like a little bit off for me. But that's not what this game is about, right? This game isn't necessarily about scarcity. It's really just an adventure game set in a post-apocalyptic setting. I mean, compare it to something like DayZ, which as a Canadian is a very difficult phrase to use. I always want to call it DayZ. But compare this game to DayZ and think about, like, scarcity, right? Like in DayZ, you have not only scarcity of equipment and scarcity of opportunity. Like if you sink time into DayZ and you die, you're depending on the way you're playing it and stuff, you're dead, right? You wasted that time. All you have to get out of it is the experience. Whereas in this game, there's no consequence, so I can just keep reloading. There's no scarcity of time for me. And in this game, I can talk my way through a lot of stuff. I'm only relating to NPCs. There's a limited amount of human experience that I can have. With other people, but in DayZ, you're relating to people you can't really communicate with a lot of the time, and they might be total assholes. They might just murder you, which feels a lot more like that scarcity. Oh, thanks, rat. Feels a lot more like that scarcity that you would come to expect from a post-apocalyptic environment, right? So this is how, and if you've tuned into Being Everything Else, like the advice that I give for picking good games versus bad games is understanding what a game is about and finding a game that mechanically reinforces that. And that's not to say that Fallout is a bad game, but it's just not necessarily a good apocalypse game. It's a great game for fun and adventure and has some apocalyptic trappings, but it doesn't really capture the genre in the same way that other more recent games have. So, this is where we start to look at things like the difference between genre and setting, right? Genre contains setting as part of its subset. When you look at genre, and this is, I'm getting ahead of myself because if you're going to tune in to the next episode of Being Everything Else, we're going to talk a little bit about genre expectation. So you're getting a little sneak preview now. But what I think is interesting is that genre contains several things, right? It contains character, it contains ultimately like emergent story, and it contains setting as a part of it. So while you can have a game set in a genre, setting isn't 100% of genre. And I know that's a little weird and might be sort of more complicated theory than you expected, but I think if you think about it, you can really see where those things happen, and start playing video games, start playing role-playing games, and thinking about, like, in what way does this game exhibit genre to me instead of just showing me setting, right? Setting is the easiest shit to show because it's like, okay, you're in a castle. You know how you know that? Here's a picture of a castle. You just went into it. But genre is romantic fantasy, and how do you know that you're in a romantic fantasy game? There's a lot more to it than just you're in that pretty fantasy castle. There's like the way that the characters interact. There's the abilities your character has. If you're trying to play a game that's set in a high fantasy genre and all you have is in your inventory is like chainsaws and machine guns, they can tell you that the genre is one thing, but the setting is another. It's interesting, and I think really successful games, the ones that take big innovative risks, are the ones that blur those lines, that say, this is a post-apocalyptic game set in a cyberpunk genre. So it's really like about one thing while appearing to be about another. Again, like nuance, right? There's a lot to that stuff. But it's an interesting thing to think about. It's genre has a lot of different places in games, which is what made looking through my shelves, my RPG shelves, looking for post-apocalypse games kind of an interesting experiment, because I had to be like, what games are set in the post-apocalypse and what games are post-apocalyptic in their themes. So again, like I'm kind of, I know that these little chats that I do while we play this can be a little bit in-depth and a little strange. But honestly, like for me, analysis of games and knowing what a game is about is going to let me know as a consumer, because I don't have an infinite amount of money, what games I might want to buy and what games I won't. Right? Like if the setting is interesting to me, that's an okay start. Like if somebody tells me like we made a steampunk game, I'm gonna be like, okay, you and everyone else, what about it makes it steampunk? What about it makes it, what parts of steampunk are you embracing? What parts of cyberpunk are you embracing? How is it a dark fantasy game? And then you start looking at things like, hey, that's not a rat, that's a pig. Or a mole, it's a pig rat. Okay, fine, split the difference. Yeah, so, you know, I think that the idea here is understanding what a game is about above and beyond what the marketing tells you that it's about, and being able to understand... Did I just try to attack Sulek? Oh, God, I'm sorry, buddy. Trying to be able to understand kind of what the designers were intending. And this is tough because designers are not perfect human beings, right? We can try to impart genre and setting to a player, but we've only got the tools available to us, and it's especially difficult in role-playing games. So, you know, interesting thing. I think you can mix and match genre and setting. I think you can bend the rules. There's no hard and fast rules that say this is what this kind of game is about. Holy shit. That's a big mole rat. I'm gonna save. You know, but if a game tells you on the box, like, hey, this is a game about, you know, whatever. This is a cyberpunk game. You know, analyze that. Look at it and ask questions. Say, how is it a cyberpunk game? In what way? You know, what makes it that kind of game? And do I like those things? And with video games, a lot of the time, you're going to end up with stuff like, it's a cyberpunk video game with shooter elements or with tactical elements. And so gameplay, I'm going to get killed. Gameplay is a whole other factor, you know? I don't know, just some thoughts, some things that I've thought about when choosing games to play and when playing games like this one. You know, and I think that a lot of people, like, you know, like myself, were drawn to Fallout when it came out, not because necessarily that it was a post-apocalypse game, but because we'd all... No damage, really? Is that what's happening here? Oh, I died. What is that, 4? 5?
Your quest to find...
Boo. Okay, I gotta do that fight again, but with Sulek this time. Come on, jerk off. Here we go. God, I'm so nervous. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you know, that's what makes stuff interesting. And like people say a lot of the time, you know, there's too many games of a particular genre, or like a game will come out like DayZ, and it'll have dozens of games like it. You know, Rust will come out, and H1Z1 will come out, and it's like it becomes a genre of its video games itself. So really good games, like look at Doom, right? They spawn games like themselves because people like making money, and a popular genre becomes a game. But like Minecraft, there's lots of other building games, but Minecraft is the best at what it does because the mechanics reflect the ethos of the game. They reflect the genre, and the game itself is designed to reinforce that. So, you know, usually like we get iterations of types of game. And it's often the easiest thing in the world to try to reskin a game to seem like a different game. But am I gonna die again? Holy crap. Yeah, I probably am. Yeah, that's twice. Maybe I'm not ready for this.
Rest in peace, chosen one.
So, I don't know. I mean, it makes pen and paper games that are based on other properties super difficult to make correctly. I mean, video games too, right? Like CD Projekt Red and the Witcher games and their upcoming Cyberpunk game, they've got big shoes to fill because they have to, essentially, they have to emulate a feeling, And that's really hard, right? Because it's cross media. The feeling of watching a TV show. Yeah, I do need armor. You're right. Maybe I'm just gonna take it from Sulik. See if that helps. So yeah, I mean, like the thing is that ultimately, it's about emulating a style, right? Like when we made Dungeon World. Yeah, rocking that Mad Max gear. When we made Dungeon World, we were just trying to emulate Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like the way that D&D felt when we played it as kids. And so for us, it wasn't a huge jump, but we are still emulating a genre, right? A type of play. And so every game based on another thing, whether it's a video game or a pen and paper game, you're trying to guide players to a particular type of experience, and it can be very difficult. So, you know, I think that's why, on top of a lot of reasons, why licensed stuff doesn't often do well. Because, I mean, it's rushed often, and like, there's not a lot of passion that goes into a game based on an IP you didn't create. How do we kill it? Alrighty. But, you know, I mean, I think that it can be done. It can certainly be done. There are a lot of games that do it well. But there's a lot of games that do it really poorly, too. Alright, I'm going to save. Speaking of doing poorly. And let's level up. Shall we? Oh, I get a new perk. Yeah. So I already have small frame, which is my, like, I'm little and I'm fast perk. Now I can take comprehension, so when I get books I get half as much more. That's dumb. I can gain a level now. Not very useful. I want to pick something that's going to last me a long time. Okay, initial reaction bonus. That's nice. Accessing my inventory. Yeah, I got lots of points. Smooth talker. Increased dialogue options. That's kind of cool. That one sounds like a good fit for my character, but I want something that'll help me right away. Here we go. Swift Learner. 5% bonus whenever I gain experience. Or 10% bonus to sneak, lockpick, steal, and traps. I'm going to take Swift Learner. So, you know, not very flashy, but I'm going to gain level fast. So that's cool. I've also got some, let's see here. I got some skills. I'm gonna do my skills, and then I'll do a quick look through chat and see if y'all have any questions for me. Let's see. Let's improve my sneak a few more points. Let's improve. I'm gonna improve steal a bunch this time. And let's start bringing my weapon skills up, because I anticipate buying, stealing, or obtaining a gun soon. So I'm gonna do that. And let's bring up. What else do I want to bring up? Let's bring up speech. Oh yeah, I double my points in these, so let's do another one in lockpicks. Cool. Okay. Done. Alright, so let's save again. Alrighty. Alright, so... Yeah, so Zorblek mentioned in chat the D20 glut. So let me take you back. Let me take you back to the early 2000s. Way back in the year 2000 something, whenever 3rd edition D&D came out, Wizards of the Coast did this thing where if you weren't playing role-playing games at the time, or you're not super tuned into the like business of RPGs, they released a license where anybody who wanted to make a role-playing game could basically use the framework of Dungeons and Dragons to make their own game. Hey, another rat. So, of course, what happened is as soon as that was available, instead of putting time into developing, and you're going to hold your... Yes, the OGL, exactly, the Open Gaming License. So hold your criticisms, because I'm about to say something that might make me sound a little bit of a hypocrite. But once it started happening, instead of developing their own game systems, people just started creating D20 reskins for everything. Like, not even just their own games, or not just like they want to make their own game with a different setting. Like, it's not that. It's like they would remake games using D20 on the hopes that they would sell better. Like a game that has its own system. Like someone mentioned in chat earlier, Big Eyes Small Mouth, right? So like Big Eyes Small Mouth is an anime themed RPG, right? It's supposed to like take all the tropes of anime and put them in a role playing game, and that's a great idea, right? Like it's cool because anime does some stuff that normally you might have trouble doing with another system. So okay, cool, yeah, great. We got this game and it does its own thing, and then OGL comes along and they're like, let's make Big Eye Small Mouth D20, which. Okay, sure, but like, you're totally ignoring the fact that the mechanisms of the game should reflect the play, right? It should reflect the stuff that you want to. Ingrates. None of these people care that I just freed them from rat plague. Fine. But yeah, so that happened. Star Wars D20, Deadlands D20. A whole bunch of really terrible, like, sexist, like, look up D20 sexist art, and you'll get, there's this amazing series of games that have just the most disgusting covers maybe I've ever seen, aside from that one Exalted book. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you could look it up. But, yeah, so there's just all of these, like, low-hanging fruit game developers that kind of was like, okay, well, we're just going to grab whatever we can find and hammer it into the D20 system. And so there were all these games, and there was the whole industry kind of like jumped because all of a sudden there were all these industry developers, and then just back into the pit because these games were terrible, right? Like for the most part, they were really bad because D20 was designed for one thing. It was designed as an extension of Dungeons and Dragons, but also it ended up being this like brand product thing that just was not, I don't know, it was gross. So, what a lot of people are kind of worrying about now is that the Apocalypse Engine, and this is to go back to what I was talking about before, they're afraid that the Apocalypse Engine is a bit of the same deal, right? Now, I get that. Like, I think that that's a valid criticism, that there are a lot of games based on the Apocalypse Engine now, Dungeon World being one of them. But I think the Apocalypse Engine is designed for more hacking than... Ooh, cool, magazine. For more hacking than D20 was, right? Like, it's meant to be deconstructed and rebuilt. And so maybe that's just my opinion about things. But, like, there are all these games built on the same engine, and you're going to see that a lot. Actually, Luke Crane was on a podcast a little while ago. If you don't know, Luke is the designer who created Burning Wheel and Torchbearer and Mouseguard. But he was on a podcast a while ago, and he was talking about how folks that do hacks of Apocalypse World are actually editing Apocalypse World instead of... They're editors, not game designers, which... I mean, maybe if you felt like you were a big deal game designer with an award-winning fantasy role-playing game, maybe you'd feel a little salty about that. But, I know Luke well enough to say that I know that he didn't intend it as a slur. And also, he made the comparison that Tom Moldvay, who is the absolute genius who turned original D&D into basic D&D, he's an editor, right? His work is fantastic. So, I think that there's a lot of question about adaptation and about mechanisms and what fits what. But, I think the Apocalypse World engine works better for that because it emulates a type of fiction in the same way Fate does, where things are constantly rolling towards complication, right? So, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. The whole concept. I mean, we can get super philosophical about it and talk about whether or not new ideas exist, right? But I think that philosophically, it's an interesting thing to think about. Like, where does a hack end, and where does a new game begin? And you see it in video games too, right? Like, when did first-person shooters become a genre and stop being called Doom clones, right? Was Unreal the first FPS? Was what was? Where did that come from? So, interesting stuff. And I think really, like, we'll see that a lot in games. Like, it'll never stop happening, is that the genre of play, mechanism type will come out, and people will attempt to reskin it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it's really cool, and other times it doesn't work so well. And the fact of games being a product means that the market will play that out. Speaking of the market, I'm going to try and barter away some of this crap that I found. Maybe this guy would like a sledgehammer. I'm really going to angle for getting that gun. I want that. Wait, does he not have it anymore? Oh, you jackass. Well, fine. I'm going to try and buy this leather jacket. And I may not be able to. Here, have a stupid gun. Yeah, there we go. Check it out, Math Squad. I did math all on my own. Getting better. I'm improving as a human being. Let's go talk to Sulik and I'll give him this new jacket. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, when you look at a game, what do you look at? Do you look at its mechanics? Do you look at what games that it's like and whether or not you you know, whether you you like games like it? Like if you see, it's kind of like if you see a movie like produced by the same people who made this other movie that you like. Are you like, oh cool, maybe I like this because the, you know, the producers? Or are you like looking at the genre of the game? Are you like, oh, I love post-apocalypse. What kind of game is it? You know, how do you evaluate where you spend your game money? I think that it's an interesting question to ask because in a capitalist society such as ours, where you just want to buy a gun and nobody has guns. Well, leather armor though, that's pretty dope. Jesus Christ, you're a pirate. Yeah, I mean, like, what do you think? Well, you know, where do you get your impetus to buy games? Obviously, reviews have something to do with it, but I don't know. I think it's tough. It's tough to know kind of what's worth what for you. So I know these are some jerks. Dry meat. What do you got? Meat jerky? I'd love a piece of meat jerky for 13 credits. Or dollars, or whatever these doubloons are supposed to be. Okay, that's a good trade. I'm gonna say that next time I'm at like a McDonald's and they're like, that'll be $5.65. I'll be like, okay, that's a good trade. That's your homework, chat. Next time you buy something at a store, tell them, okay, that's a good trade. And then they'll look at you like you're a crazy person. Okay, so I know that my mission is to... I was going to do that thing with Tor, but I don't know. Maybe he's dead. You know what? Before I leave, because I'm going to go try and find the den, before I leave, I am going to go and I'm going to fight that robot. Because, hey, why not? Or maybe I can sneak past it. I have those skills. I'm going to do it. Here we go. Let's play Sneak Past the Robot. So I've been thinking, yeah, screw you, robot, and your optical sensors. I've been thinking about supplementing this Fallout playthrough with doing like some maybe hour-long like game reviews or talking about like particular topics. And you know, I'm like really like super new to all this stuff, so I'm just playing the game and kind of chattering at you while I do. So if there's anything that you guys think as a collective whole that you'd like me to like do a show about, or games you'd like me to play, I'm super into it, and hopefully soon I will be able to give you an opportunity to subscribe to my channel, which would be super fun. I'd love to be able to do this stuff, you know, more often. And yeah, I've got lots of stuff to talk about, lots of opinions about things, as you probably know. I love that there's nothing over here, so that's good. But I would be happy to hear what you guys would like me to do. I mean, I can play a game like this and chat my way through it, but something like, you know, Dark Souls or a shooter or something, I'm gonna have a lot harder time. So if you're more interested in watching me play games than talk about them, that's maybe the way to go. But yeah, something that I'm curious about. You know, what people want to see. 'Cause it's all kind of new territory for me. Obviously, role-playing games are my They're my jam. I've been thinking about playing some kind of, maybe after this, some kind of Super Nintendo RPG. I do love me some Final Fantasy, but that's a bit of a commitment too, so. Whatever. I don't have a job now, so I can just hang out and play video games. Hang out with you guys. My new friends. The internet. Alright, let's go see if the den is on my map. I've talked to a bunch of people, but I don't know. The game is not giving me a lot of help in that regard. If I don't have the den on the map, I'm going to have to come back in and talk to... Yeah, there it is. Alright, let's go to the den. Even though I've been warned not to, let us cross the wastelands and see what happens. Oh, I encountered some trappers with rats. Hey, look, it's a random encounter. I just got West Marches. Let's go have a conversation with these trappers and hope they don't try to murder me. Greetings, friend. I'm just passing through. That was the most boring encounter of all time. Let's go see if they have anything to steal. You know, people have been mentioning, obviously, because I'm playing Fallout, but people have been mentioning playing Wasteland 2. Now, I kickstarted it, and I tried it when it came out, and I found the encounter difficulty balance to be, like way off. I mean, maybe I'm just bad at games, but I just got wrecked every time I played it, and yeah, I ran out of patience pretty fast, so I don't know if I'd want to go, especially after this. Oh, another random encounter. Do you wish to encounter a group of mole rats? Now, this is interesting. So I guess because my perception is high enough, I get the option to encounter them. So yeah, let's take it. Let's see what happens. This looks like a randomly generated area. There's a bunch of weird arrows on the ground. Bob's iguana bits. I feel like I'm probably gonna die. Let's see what happens. Everybody pray for Mojo. Oh, I kill one? Yeah. I still am getting totally wrecked on, though. Oh no. Awkward face. Let's get the shit out of here. Thank God it's 1998 and attacks of opportunity have not been invented yet. How do I... Oh, I'm trapped. Alright. Do I have any more powder? Nope. Stim time. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Hurt me plenty. Yeah, a lot of Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, Request for Torment. Yeah, totally. Aw, dead again.
You have perished.
What's that, 6 now? Well, I deserved it. I should not have encountered the mole rats. In the alternate universe where I didn't encounter the mole rats. Actually, speaking of which, the dead like I love games that reincorporate you dying into the game. Like I don't know if you ever played the Xbox version. I think it first came out on Xbox and PS2 of Prince of Persia, where the game was being narrated by the main character, where he was like, and then I did this, and then I did some other things, and is like telling the story. But when you die and restart, he's like, oh no, that's not how it happened. I missaid my own demise, which I think is interesting. I like when games do things like that, when they incorporate their own narrative that way. I think it's cute. Obviously, it's not this, not like this game where you're just typically like restarting. Is Sulek getting killed? I gotta get out of here. Geckos. There we go. Yeah, so that's a neat thing. I quite like. Alright, I'm in the den. This town looks like one mean place. Good place to own a gun. Well, I better find and steal one then, shan't I? Yeah, Sands of Time. That's what it's called. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, games that are aware just enough that they're a game I think is very cool. All right, so what do we know about... Oh, hold on, I got to go back and check the ubiquitous mission board. Den Bulletin, maintained by Rebecca's Casino Bar. Best drinks in the den. This place doesn't seem so bad. Becky's a whore, and her drinks is watered down. She's a crook and a liar. So, I'm curious. It's interesting that like the game takes a very traditional modern approach to literacy. You notice that? Like, people seem to be able to just talk. Like, they're like, we can speak relatively easily. They can most of them seem to be able to write and read, but then randomly, like, rednecky morons can't do that, or tribals, which is interesting. There's some strange things going on there. Okay, so decent town, except maybe they have a slavers guild. That's not good. Best and only supplier of slaves in the wastes. Best and only. That... Oh, okay. How could... I mean, I guess they're not mutually exclusive. For employment opportunities, buying or selling of slaves, see Slave Master Metzger. So this is funny to me personally. I have a friend named Johnstone whose last name is Metzger. He's the author of the totally kick-ass Metamorphica. Right now, just like I'll tab and Google Johnstone Metzger Metamorphica or Redbox Vancouver Metamorphica. The PDF is free. It's an entire book of random tables for creating mutants and aliens, and you can use it in any role-playing game. So if you're playing a game that's like a post-apocalypse or a space game, or you want to have chaos monsters in your game, holy crap. It's like one of my favorite supplements. So yeah, check that action out. The Metamorphica. That's my plug. It's worth the print version too. It's a super good at table reference for the right game. So I'm going to imagine Slave Master Metzger as my friend Johnstone. Currently not selling slaves due to increased demand. East side of town past Becky's and Frankie's. Okay, thanks for that information. Rebecca's Casino Bar has gambling and drinks. And Frankie's runs a bar, inn, and pleasure business on the east side of town. So, prostitutes, probably. Okay. This is like a real directory for the town. Like, yellow pages. That's odd. People are talking about my last name. Yes, it's super German. I don't even pronounce it correctly. It's the O and the E, I think, are one letter in German. But if you speak German, you probably know how to pronounce my last name correctly. Hi, Mom's Restaurant, blah blah blah, shops, blah blah, Tubbies, Flicks, Smitties. None of these things are interesting to me. I'm done. See you later. Okay, so I've learned about some things. Let's go talk to some people in this shithole. I mean, town. Whoa, that's a tough looking hombre. A tough guard. Okay, so Becky's Casino Bar, which apparently has electricity, so that's cool. I wonder what that's about. Some gambling going on. Let's go talk to Rebecca. Get you something to drink. I'm looking for a merchant named Vic. There you go. Metzger's got him locked up. So, this game it's like the first season of the X-Files. Like, I don't know, what could be bad that happened to an NPC? They're enslaved. Sure, let's enslave everybody. Slavery all over the place. Yeah, so first season of X-Files, same deal. They're possessed. Everybody's possessed. Possession, possessed, possessed. No problem. Anyway, Vic is there. See if Fred owes for $200. All right, let's see what we can do to get Fred to give Becky her money back. Where you at, Fred? I see some tough-looking 90s gangsters. Look at this guy with his mohawk. A thug, and yet a third thug. I don't even want to talk to them. They're too tough for me. I feel a bomb threat coming on. Yes, yeah, my last name is pronounced a lot like Kerbal Space Program. You are correct. Kerbal. There's Tubby's. What did she say that guy's name was? Fred? Does he have a shop too? Is he a shop guy? Let me check. Probably the tunnel snakes, yeah. No, Flick was the shop. Alright. I wasn't paying a lot of attention to what she was saying because she's an NPC and I'm not. Let me see. No, I didn't get it yet. I'm still working on it. Okay, so she won't remind me. That's weird. NPCs will rehash stuff over and over when I don't need them to, but when I need them to, just no dice. They just stonewall me. So this looks like a place full of tough guys. Lara. Yes, I don't know who Lara is, but I am here to see her. I want to know what her deal is. Oh, she runs a gang. Got any work for me, Lara? Metzger has some people. Oh, this is Metzger's like competition. All right, so I'm gonna see if I can Yojimbo this situation. Here's a digression for you. If you haven't seen the movie Yojimbo, go get a piece of paper and write down "Watch Yojimbo" on it and put it somewhere where you're gonna see it again because, hot damn. It's one of the best samurai movies literally ever made in the history of time. Sorry, Joey. I was looking for Chandler. Yeah, it's really, really good. And it's about a dude who comes into a town controlled by like two rival gangs. And he basically like plays them against each other for his own benefit. And it's so good. It's got a sequel called Sanjuro, and yeah, it's really cool. Okay, who's this weirdo? Hello, welcome, salutations. I am the great Ananias. He offers you a slight bow with a flourish. I bring mysteries from near and far, friend. Mysteries from a world beyond our own. From the netherworld. Okay, what kind of mysteries? Cthulhu reference in 3, 2, 1. I know things that no mortal man was meant to know. Nyar Lath... No. Egyptian mummy. Okay, I don't... Sure, tell me about the mummy. Straight from the sands. How much to see the wizened corpse? 25. I don't know. Fuck it. Let's look at the mummy. Ooh, an ordinary ghoul standing in poorly painted papier-mâché sarcophagus. Wow, that's fantastic. So there's a dude in the sarcophagus. Great. That was fun. Yeah, the other thing that's cool about Yojimbo is it got remade a bunch of times. Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis. Actually, there's a lot of that. If you... Seven Samurai got remade a ton of times. Let's go into this fancy... Oh, buddy. Hi, Joshua. Don't know what's going on in the neighborhood. There's a lot more than your simple quest. Where can I find the Gek? Oh, an unopened vault. Thanks, Brotherhood of Steel guy, but I don't know that because I've never played Fallout before. So yeah, anyway, Yojimbo. Super cool. If you're a GM, it's really fun to imagine Yojimbo as a PC in either a one-on-one game or as representative of a group of PCs, because like watching him play the two different factions against each other is so fun. I used it to inspire part of a Apocalypse World game once, and it's pretty cool. Welcome to Tubby's. I need some information, Tubby. Tubby! Oh, yes. I'd like to barter after all, Tubbs. What do you got? Oh, shiz, that is a big-ass gun. Those are several guns. Oh, if only I had a ton of money. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can steal anything from this chimp. Because that's what you do when you live in the wasteland and you're poor as balls. You steal things from people. I don't know if I have to sneak, but I have the skill, so I'm gonna do it. Oh, a nightstick and some legit. Fantastic. I know you have more stuff than that. Oh well. See you later, tub. Let's see. Oh, this is the trunk right here. Alright, so Becky says you owe him her much money. He says he doesn't know anything about it. Let's do what we do when we don't know what to do. Let's try to steal. Yeah, I went through this like phase for a while where I was like super into especially old Japanese movies. There's a and not just samurai movies, but there's a director. Gosh, I'll try to remember and post it on Twitter. There's a director that did a lot of like black and white, like slice of life, kind of like what it's like living in Tokyo in the 50s stuff. That's just beautiful, like absolutely fantastic stuff. Very, very Japanese in the way that it's like presented. There's a certain kind of like, dare I? No, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I know it's annoying for me to say that I liked a thing, but I'll look it up and I'll post it on Twitter. All right, so Becky said, blah blah blah, lent it to you a while ago. So evidently, I just have to navigate this phone tree, this dialogue tree, specifically. Said you were forgetful. Didn't I pay her back? Nope. Tough luck. No, pay it. I'm not a nice guy. I'm sorry, that's not how it goes. So now I guess I could just take the money and leave, but Ozu, yes, thank you. Thank you, chat. You saved me from having to look it up. Ozu. That yeah, Yasujiro Ozu, so good. I think the movie that I saw most recently was called Tokyo Story. And it's beautiful. Really good stuff. All of his work is good. Really like that early Japanese cinema in general, like Ozu and Kurosawa, like really good directors. I'm sure that there are more that I don't know anything about, but yeah, there was a while where I was watching a lot of those, and it was very there's some very good films in that milieu. Totally worth checking out. All right, cool. I did a quest. I got some XP. I feel like I've contributed to the world of Fallout. Look at me, making an impact. Let's go do that thing for whatever her name was. Jenny? Jim Jam? Gemma? I'm gonna explore the town. I think this is the town you get the car in. I think that's the car right there. So I'm gonna talk to this guy and get that quest going. What's up, Smitty? I'm a young feller. Throw this old junk. Well, it's none other than this Chrysalis Motors Highwayman. They used to say that nothing can stop a highwayman. They sure built them tough. So you think it's supposed to be a Chrysler Highwayman, but they decided to call it Chrysalis because brand stuff, I guess. Strike that. Sell the car for $2,000 and install the controller. Alright, so I need a battery. I will come back. Yeah, okay, Smitty. I really want a gun before I go and deal with this Metzger problem. What do you got, Smitty? Anything good? Probably not. A gun! Yeah! Oh, I got caught. Damn it. So, again, this is the trouble, and this is what happens when you're playing you're playing computer RPGs, the optimal thing to do. I mean, if I was being really hardcore and serious, I would have just taken my licks and been like, okay, well, I guess I stole that gun and got caught. But it's totally suboptimal to do that and not fun at all. So, yeah. So I'm gonna reload, and I'm gonna feel bad about it, but. Oh well, I got a gun now, which makes me way cool. Because the only thing cooler than a dude in a leather jacket is a dude in a leather jacket with a gun. If I really want to be cool, I gotta find some cigarettes to smoke. It'd be cool if there was a mutation system in this game. If I could like get psychic powers or extra arms or whatever. I'd be into that. What do we got going on here? Nope. Book from Derek. Lara wants to know what's in the church. Card Barbara Smitty. Okay. That's not appropriate. Welcome to the hole. You see the hole sign. Let's see what's in the hole. It'd be really good if there was a dude in here named Ace. Everyone crawls into the hole when it's time to let loose. He wants me to let loose in the hole. Wow, I shit-talked his bar and he attacked me. Well, we're gonna see this through. Oh, I'm getting attacked by everyone in the bar now. Fantastic. Sulik, any time now would be great, buddy. Okay, so again, okay, let's take a break. Let's take a pause here. Why on earth did the game lead me into a position where essentially my entire game was just ruined by one thing on the dialogue tree, where like I can threaten, like I get there being consequences for stuff, but also like derailing the entire game experience just for the sake of having that realism it's frustrating. Like in a computer game, this is a thing that just happens, right? Where they're like, sometimes you're just screwed. Like, you just did the wrong thing, and that's how it goes. Like, in a pen and paper game, yeah, you talk shit about somebody, something bad happens, but you have a human being on the other end managing the way that works. So, like, you could say, okay, yeah, you talk shit to the guy, you get in a bar fight, and instead of just being like, the whole town fights you forever, you know, you get locked up. Now you gotta work on that problem. So, I don't know. I guess I won't shit-talk the whole quite so hard this time. My pleasure is information. I thought bartenders knew everything. Oh, he doesn't. Anything else? Yes. No. Thank you. Goodbye. I don't know. Alright, the whole is not of any use to me. I reject you, the whole. Metzger's right through this door. That's a window, buddy. In the distant future of 2241, people use the same word for door and window. So this is the church that Lana, whatever, said. I'm gonna save. Also, there's some very astute detective work going on in the chat right now. Good job, everybody. So I'm sneaking in to the church. I see a bunch of science fiction-y looking boxes. That's cool. Gain some experience, some various chemicals. I bet you it's blue fever. They're making post-apocalyptic blue fever. Alright, so I'm gonna go back to this other zone and I'm gonna call Mr. Sicarian, and he's gonna come here and help me wreck shit. Alright. Let's go talk to Lana. What's her actual name so I can start? Lara, like the Tomb Raider. Ching! Caravans from Vault City come in and then picked up by caravans from New Reno. Why does that make sense? Oh, New Reno's where all the drugs is from. Interesting. I'm not sure. Just somewhere to the south. Check with Metzger to see if you're okay with Tyler and I setting some old matters. Sure, I will be a drug guy. A back and forth drug guy. But first, I'm going to save and see what kind of gear Lara Croft has on her. Because, I don't know. Stealing is fun. Wow, she has a bottle of soda. Cool, you're a tough gangster, Lara. Your spiky armor and your bottle of soda. Alright. Let's go talk to Metzger. I have business with this butcher. Alright, Slavers Guild. So, slavery is a funny thing in games, because it's often applied in this kind of like heavy-handed, like only monsters are slavers sort of way. You know, I don't think I've ever seen a game where a slaver, like a straight up, like I buy humans and sell it, like them to other people. I've never seen them portrayed in a game as anything other than a total monster. Like, I've got razor sharp teeth and I'm a horrible badass and I just kill everybody I don't like and like I'm an evil slaver and it's obvious, right? Like it's in a lot of ways it's the same way that culture portrays like rapists, right? And I don't mean to get like heavy, but you know, it's like I'm gonna portray this person as like a horrible monster when really the people that commit that crime are often not slavering monsters, right? They're just people. They're bad people, you know, but they're people, right? And like I'd love to see a game where the slaver is just like a businessman and not someone you're just like, well, I don't feel bad killing this person because they're a total ass, right? Like, it's interesting because I think that we want to gloss over the fact that slavery, like as a thing, as a form of shitty human behavior, was performed by normal type humans. It was performed by merchants and businessmen and the kind of people that were respected in society. And so when we portray slavers in the future, our post-apocalypses or whatever, we portray them as inhuman monsters, right? And I think it's interesting. And I feel like, and if you keep an eye out on Swan Song, I feel like if they come across, you know, if the PCs come across a group of slavers, I'm going to try and remember this conversation, this one-way conversation with y'all, because I think that like evil, it's not even really a real thing so much. Like evil behavior and the kinds of things that we talk about as being evil, like you can do evil things, but I don't know that there are people that are just straight up like evil. There are people that are demented and fucked up and do bad things more often than they do good things, but I think that it's too easy to hide behind like, yeah, slavery is bad, ergo all slavers are monsters. So, meanwhile, back in the post-apocalypse, let's find out what exactly the Slavers Guild does. They capture and sell slaves. Vic the merchant sells old vault stuff. He's fucked. Metzger pretty pissed with him. Okay, so they have Vic. Alright, so I'm allowed to go talk to the boss. He's not like fucking Kaiser. Hey, I see Vic. Look at him. I don't see a slave. I see Vic. Come on, game. Alright. This tough guy. I like that I'm talking to him from the door. Just shouting across the room. Hey! Hey, Metzger! Okay, so let's see. Lara wanted me to ask you permission to fight Tyler. I curled up her ass. I gave her a chance a while back. I didn't think she had the balls to do this. So it's okay? Finally thinks she can do it. So that's a yes. He doesn't give a shit. Okay, good. Another question. About Vic. Why are you keeping him here? Sold you a radio to be able to pick up some transmissions, and it didn't. Caught his ass trying to sneak out of town before I found out. Bad mistake. So hey, like, check this out. So, one media that I think does the, like, normal people doing evil shit really well, if you haven't read it, let's all keep the spoilers on the DL. If you haven't read the Walking Dead comics, they do that in a really good way. There are a lot of characters there. I mean, there's some super villainy. If you've read it, you probably know who I'm talking about. Some, like, pointless, cackling, hand-wringing super villainy. But there's also some, like, this is a normal person in a really, really, really bad, very terrible, shitty situation, and they're doing dumb, stupid, awful things to each other because that's what happens. So, that's a thing. Yeah, Hunt the Wind, othering. That's totally the thing. This game is already full of it. We're othering negatively to fight Metzger, to make him a demon. We're demonizing what should just be a person with very shitty ideals, but a person nonetheless. And there's some tribal, like, othering happening here too, where, like, how would you feel if you were the person playing this game and you had, like, let's imagine you're from, like, Jamaica, right? It's fine. You're playing a game, and this, like, dumb, like, portrayed as dumb, sort of backwoods NPC has the same accent that you do. Like, what is the game saying to you about your culture, right? Like, I don't know. It's not fun. It's easy for a lot of people, me especially, because I'm very firmly in the demographic of people for whom most games are made. But it's very easy to overlook that stuff because it's designed for me. I'm not supposed to, like, be able to see that stuff. And it takes work. And, like, nobody's really good at it. Like, I'm not great at it yet either. But, you know, it's a thing that takes practice. So there is some of that. And that's a part of why I like doing this kind of stuff, like examining media and, like, sitting down and talking about games as I play them. Because I think that there is a lot of that going on. A lot of kind of stuff that even the designers probably didn't intend to write into the game in that fashion, but that just end up that way. So it's important to, like, recognize them, and let's talk about it. And it's okay to like stuff that's problematic, but you gotta recognize that, yeah, there's problems. So okay, let's get back to trying to save Vic. So can I see him? Just don't keep him from fixing the radio. This is why I needed that radio that I sold before. Thanks for reminding me. And I'm going to go talk to Vic. Let's get the radio fixed, and we will get him the F out of here. And hopefully I can talk my way through this. Oh, Vic. Door's locked. Thank you. That guy was surprisingly polite. Did you tell him I can't? Wait, who are you? You're not a slaver. What are you doing here? My name is Grigori. I'm here to get you out. Okay, now he's going to tell me I'm too short to be a stormtrooper. Wow, you'd do that for me. Well, I'd do anything if you could get me out of this mess. Only problem is Metzger's got me locked up here till I fix this radio, and I don't have the parts I need. Well, hey, could you use this radio I found? Durr. Found it in your house. It's your radio. Alright, so he fixed the thing. Let's go talk to Metzger. Let's get this dummy out of here. He's probably still gonna jerk me around. How about Vic? Trying to get the radio? No? Okay, so do I have to... Oh, I probably have to wait. Because this game has a clock. And it's not like, oh, everything happens instantaneously. And also, Sue, like, get the shit out of my way. I have to leave this room. Please, please get out of the way.
What you need? What distance you need us at? No problem.
Okay, spread out from me. Move, move, you piece of shit. I'm stuck. That's it, everybody. Thanks for coming. Game over. I die of old age in this stupid room. Okay, I'm going to see if I can just skill dex, or pip away my way out of this. Let's wait 10 minutes. No, still in the same place, huh? Seriously? Are you just gonna, like, block my way the whole time? Can I just write? Can I like nudge him? Get the shit out of my way. I can push him. All right, how do I push the shithead? Click and hold. You can select a push option. Awesome. Thank you. Great. Yay! I'm saved from this piece of shit. All right. So let's just double check with Vic. Even though I fixed the radio, I guess it only took him 10 minutes. Okay, so I can go talk to Metzger again. Thank you, everybody. About Vic. No? I don't want to join the guild. Alright. Maybe let's wait another... Let's wait 2 hours. Maybe that will change things. It's nighttime. No, I don't want to accidentally sell Sulik. About Vic? No. Okay. I don't know. Maybe there's something else I have to do. I wonder what I'm supposed to do here. Well, I'm gonna save before I accidentally screw something up. But basically, I just want to like get Metzger. Whatever. I'm gonna go back and talk to Laura, and I'll come back. Also, yeah, like chat, my dear friends. I'm really happy with the conversation y'all are having. Like, there's a reason that I don't moderate my chat. I have a few people who are moderators, but I feel comfortable operating a Twitch channel without a bunch of people like walking around bashing you on the head with a band hammer, because I think that you're all capable of being like reasonable human beings. I know I don't have the kind of like numbers in my chat that bigger streamers do, and so the amount of like douchebags that are here are much lower, but also I just really think that like honest conversation and discourse about stuff is super important, and just because we're video gamers, just because we like games, doesn't make us invalid human beings or incapable of having conversations. So like, seriously, giving me good feels whenever we talk about stuff. Yeah, and then as soon as I say this, somebody's going to say something like racist or sexist in the chat. Please don't. Please. Be good. Don't do it for me, though. Do it for yourselves. Do it for your own benefit. Okay, cool. Let's see what she says. Who's been complaining? Something else? Oh yeah, this is the thing where I get to find the weakness and then knock them down. Alright, let's go check it out. Kind of digging this subquest. I like Yojimboing. Now I should just go tell Tyler that she's coming, and if the game is smart, it'll give me that option. Yeah, so you guys are talking about this guy's from a distant place in culture. This is Torment of Crows. He's from a distant place in culture and happens to have a Jamaican Caribbean accent because the devs thought it was fitting. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, where it's like you're separating an obvious cultural indicator from its culture and slapping it onto someone to make them like exotic. It's like making a character Asian for no other reason than to exotify them. So like it would be really cool if Sulik was from like an enclave of like Jamaican people who had like made their own way outside of Jamaica in the post-apocalypse, maybe like a weird enclave in Utah or something that had sprung up from like a neighborhood of Jamaican expats or something. Like if there had been context, but I don't think that we ever really like learned the context for Sulik's accent, except that they're like, oh, I don't know, let me just like throw it in here, right? And like, I mean, I try to avoid doing this in the role-playing games that I play, in that like, yeah, there are NPCs that are like explicitly like look at like Wu in Swan Song. Like Wu's a Chinese guy, and there's a planet that's like a Chinese culture, but in my head, and this hasn't come out in play necessarily, but like the Mandarinate of Majid is at the end of a very long line of like Chinese space explorers, right? Like it's a Chinese colony. So there's context for that hasn't come up necessarily. I mean, it's the same as Cabral and the Pfotenhauer Society. Like, I feel like, in my understanding of the past, like, because humans started expanding into space before there was like one world government and one world culture, there's still a culture that gets carried over. That's why like Pfotenhauer and there's other like German culture in the game, and that's by design, right? Because again, like sci-fi isn't about the future; it's about now. So, you know, more things to think about. All right, so I'm looking for a weakness in here. Something that they can exploit. I'm guessing like a guard that is like a drunk or has a gambling problem. Let's have a conversation. Oh, big plans. There we go. You're throwing a party. Boop, boop. All right, I found a weakness. Let's go tell Lana. Blara. So, Saviano 1. Is it okay for games in the past to be less politically correct for the sake of history? One, I can't decide what is or isn't okay because my culture is practically unassailable from that perspective. Like, yes, white people have done a lot of really bad shit, but I don't have anything to say about whether it's okay or not okay. But what I do think is really interesting is that, yeah, there is a balance because people, especially white people, use historical accuracy to hide behind when they're trying to when they're being kind of racist, like when they're like, well, obviously there's no black people in my universe because it's European fantasy and there's no black people in Europe in the Middle Ages. Like, yeah, but there's wizards and dwarves and elves and shit. Like, so, you know, I think that, like, I'm actually really interested because if you look at a game when it comes out, I don't know if it's out yet, but look at Dark Ages Vampire. The most recent version, I've tweeted about this a little bit. Dark Ages Vampire has really cool, it talks about not just European culture, but the ways in which European culture and non-European cultures interacted in the Dark Ages in the year 1200. And like, they're a thing. Like there were lots of like, I mean, North Africa and Europe are not that fucking far apart, so there were black people in Europe, not in, like, huge numbers, but if a player in a game, if you're like, this is a historical medieval fantasy, and someone is like, I want to be a black guy, and I want to be from across the sea, or whatever, and the GM is like, no black people in my historical fantasy, then you can flip that person the bird, because it's not about historical accuracy, it's about using history to leverage systemic shittiness against people, and that's not cool. And plus, it's a fantasy, for fuck's sake. So no, I mean, I guess in my opinion, it's not okay, basically, to use history and historical accuracy to to erase people, basically. Don't do it. It's shitty. And plus, it makes it really cool to be able to say, like, you're different. You're exploring some things that you don't see in games a lot, right? Like, I don't know. I'm getting off on a tangent. We'll talk about this. I want to actually do a little sit down and talk about Dark Ages Vampire and historical accuracy and racism and all that stuff. But yes, keep that in mind. We'll talk about it another time. Let's play Fallout. And my money? Oh, she wants me to fight. And then I got 300. Well, shit, dog. Let's rip it up. I will just stand in the back, and you guys can all get shot in your cool armor, and I can loot your corpses. On the topic of people of color and fantasy, Empire of the Crescent Throne, I think? Saladin Ahmed. His book is super cool. It's basically like if Dungeons and Dragons had been designed on Arabic fantasy, like Islamic Arabic fantasy, instead of on Tolkien-esque like Western fantasy. It's super cool. There's like shapeshifters and sorcerers and witch hunters and stuff. If you haven't checked it out, it's an easy read. It's not like super dense or complicated, and I really enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite books of that year. Yeah, super into it. Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people use that argument of like, well, it just doesn't make sense. And I think, yeah, if you're trying to create art of a particular like form, you're not obligated to have specific representation. But if you can represent people, if you can include characters and people that are of color and are women, like, do it, right? Because it. Why are they attacking Sulik? Oh no, they're attacking the guard on the ground. Because representation is huge and really important. And yeah, throwing the customer. Thank you. Yeah, and it's really interesting to have nuanced portrayals of human beings of non-white origin in your games, in your media, because, I mean, we don't want media that's built on one viewpoint, do we? We want to have, like, people with differing opinions about shit and cool ideas, and white people are not the only ones with cool ideas. You know, I like George R. R. Martin. I like Tolkien as much as the next guy. Love me some Beowulf, but like, it's not all there is. And yeah, and the only way that we're gonna get more like cool variables in our fantasy is by supporting people who are different. Right? Said the white guy. Are these guys enemies? What the hell is even happening? Did we only have to kill one dude? I'm really confused. I think this quest might be bugged. Whatever, I'm gonna shoot at someone, and then we'll see what happens. Or I'll just die. Super excited, by the way, that I can have this conversation on the internet with a bunch of people and not have everybody be a bunch of toxic shitlords. Congratulations. I feel like I'm cheesing this fight, but I don't care. Just clicking, hanging out, clicking. So somebody was asking, while I'm letting these NPCs have a fight for me, about the CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk game. I don't know really much about it. There's an awesome interview, I think, on Polygon or The Verge, by the designer, who is a like rad dude. They got the original guy who made Cyberpunk 2020 or Cyberpunk whatever the original one. They're getting him on board for the game, which obviously like CD Projekt Red knows how to adapt stuff, so that's very cool. That promo video that they released, obviously it's pre-rendered and everything, but it's also like tonally pretty spot on. Lots of really good like hidden things, and I like it. I'm super excited to play it. I love Cyberpunk, as you know, and I'm pretty excited about what potential that it might have. I'm really hoping that it's good. Obviously, I mean, who hopes for a bad game? But it's, you know, it's based on a property that I like. So that's about all I know. I think that's about what anybody knows. I know it's been delayed a little bit because of because of CD Projekt Red being, like Blizzard, only willing to release games when they're like ready and good, which ultimately is good for us as a group of nerds. You know, I've never actually like played much of. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna get totally butt locked over here. All right. Butt rocking is avoided. I'm gonna go hide. I was smarter to just let them fight. Yeah, so it's cool, and I like that there are games that are coming out now based on old crap that I love, because I like being pandered to, and that's how people make money, because it's hard to create new IP. So we'll see. Let's have this conversation again in like a year when it's out. I'll do a review. Maybe I'll play it, though. I'm gonna need a new computer if we get to that point. As far as playing a character in a role-playing game that's like the only X of Y or whatever, as a GM, it's really hard to like resist that shit, to be like, or to allow it, right? Like let's say I'm like, okay, so we're playing in a system, it's gritty fantasy, and this is like a real example. We're playing in a world, it's gritty fantasy, it's based on medieval Poland, there's a horrible civil war, there's no magic. All the magicians are dead. We were playing Burning Wheel. And of course, immediately one of the players is like, hi, excuse me, I want to be a wizard. I would like to be a spellcaster. So as a GM, part of me wants to be like, did you not hear what I just said? Did I stutter when I described this setting to you? But I would suggest taking it with a grain of salt. Like, don't go with that feeling every time, because that character turned out to be, you know, one of the most fun in the group. It was a character that I really enjoyed, and so like, it's fun to allow players that because PCs are already super special, right? Like, there's no game in which the PCs are and will remain forever just like crappy nobodies, right? Like, I mean, maybe if you play Warhammer Fantasy, but the idea is that eventually you recognize that the PCs are a special, unique snowflake. And why not just start them that way? Why not just let them have the thing that they want? Because obviously it's the shit that the players want by way of their character, right? They want to be special in that fashion. Some games do this on purpose, like 13th Age, which I don't really like that much. I think it's not a fantastic game, but it does this with the like one unique thing, where it's like you get to pick a thing about your character that's like the only thing about you. So like, I mean, I build this into games a lot. Like Mr. Sicarian has one unique thing about him, and like all that stuff happens sort of naturally. But think about what ways your characters are unique, and like let the players be that way. You don't have to restrict them necessarily. Okay, I'm getting really bored of this fight, so I'm gonna wade in there and see if I can either get killed or help. There you go. Also, Sulik was in the way of the NPCs, which is super annoying. I think there's only one guy left anyway. Did that guy shoot himself? Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, like in all these talks and stuff about, oh, did I just die? Well, yeah. All right, well, I'm just about done anyhow, so I'm gonna load up, just make sure I'm in the place I need to be. All right, so I'm gonna go talk to Lara after this, but yeah, I think I'm about done. I died. That was my death time. Congratulations for me. Thanks everybody for coming. I had a fantastic time. This was a good one. Y'all are intelligent individuals, and I appreciate having you around. I'm working on getting that sub button, but I appreciate your being here. That's the thing that matters most to me. I'm gonna pick this up again early next week. If I don't have a place where my schedule is, I'll try to leave it as the title of the channel. But if you follow me on Twitter at SkinnyGhost, I tweet about when I'm going to be live all the time. As well, I tweet stuff about roleplay and role-playing games and social justice stuff and whatever. So yeah, give me a follow if you like. And thanks eternally for coming here in the early stages of me doing all this stuff. And yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks for everything. I'll see you next time.